Okay guys, so this is the notes on parallelograms, properties of parallelograms. We all worked together on the flow chart where it said quadrilateral family. Okay, and the first property of parallelograms was the fact that they have two sets or two pairs of lines that are parallel. The opposite, top and bottom, are parallel to each other, and left and right are parallel to each other as well. Okay, so that goes glued on page 7. In case you haven't done that, you can do so at home and things are not flying all over the place in your notebook, okay? The properties of parallelograms sheet, that one goes on page 8, okay? And I'm just gonna highlight the title of it so that you know that this is strictly talking about parallelograms. We went ahead and crossed out everything after parallelogram because the learning target is for you to focus on parallelograms themselves, okay? So the first thing is you need to be able to identify the properties. The first one, that they have two sets of parallel lines, okay? That's the first property. The second property is that opposite sides are also congruent. That means that they are the same length. Okay, so we can go ahead and have our little tick marks. I already have my blue on top and bottom and red on left and right so that I understand that those sides are parallel. And for you to remember that this one talks about the sides, I'm going to go ahead and box the word sides, and they are congruent. Okay, in class, we determined that FG was congruent to HJ, and you guys also said that GH is congruent to FJ. Now remember, the actual order of these two letters doesn't matter because you're talking about the line segment. Okay, so just make sure that you understand that. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us via Remind. Most of you guys will just see my name on there, but Miss Ramos does answer the messages on her computer, but she pretends to be me. I'm kidding, she doesn't. She tells you that it's her. Okay, so now moving on to the third property of parallelograms. Opposite angles are congruent, and we're talking about the angles, not the sides. Some of you guys are still having a difficult time being able to differentiate between angles and sides and how to read it. Okay, angles are the little curves, okay, those little arcs that talks about an angle. Okay, we're talking about the measure. And angles are also congruent to their opposite angle, to their opposite buddy. So here we have angle F, opposite is angle H. They are congruent. If you look at J, who is opposite, it is G. So G and J are congruent. Angle G is congruent to angle J. And we'll go ahead and use colors again to help us understand or see the relationship. F and H are one color, and G and J are another color. Remember, the color is always an invitation. It helps some of you guys it doesn't. If you don't have colors, you can maybe put like a circle on J, circle on G, maybe a triangle on F and a triangle on H, and that can help you see that the two triangles would be the same and that the two circles would be the same, okay? Something like this. Okay, all right. The fourth property of a parallelogram is that consecutive angles are supplementary. Consecutive angles, that word should ring the bell because consecutive angles are or were in the parallel lines with the transversals that we learned about earlier this week. So they are called consecutive interior angles or same side interior angles, and this is abbreviation. Okay, consecutive angles are supplementary. That means that they equal 180 degrees, just in case we're a little rough on our vocabulary, okay? Supplementary means that they equal 180 degrees. So we have here, our example is the measure of angle F plus the measure of angle G. Now you might be saying, Ms. Corrales, you have two different colors there. Why? Well, because these are not congruent to each other. They are congruent to their opposite buddies, but when they're next to each other, they're supplementary. And I chose the color red and blue because when you mix red and blue, you get purple. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and mark the rest of these, J and H. Now, it's important to understand that there's more than just one set. Okay, so example here, we had that F and G are supplementary that give us that purple, right? But we also have G and H that give us purple, H and J give us purple, and F and J, and H and J, okay? Those are all combinations that we can have. So that's why there's 3 other lines. And we'll go ahead and write that. We had F and G. The measure of angle G plus the measure of angle H is also going to give us 180 degrees. The measure of angle H plus the measure of angle J is going to give us 180 degrees. And finally, the measure of angle J plus the measure of angle F is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, let's go on to the last one, the 5th property of parallelograms. Diagonals bisect each other. So we have diagonals. These right here are diagonals, and they bisect each other. That means that they cut each other in half. So I'm going to use a red color here to say that this segment is congruent to this segment, and that this top segment is congruent to this bottom segment. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and write that down. We have FP is congruent to HP, so we can say GP is congruent to PJ. Okay, and they bisect each other. So we're gonna highlight that word, circle it, bubble it, so that we understand. And bisect means it cuts into 2 equal parts. It cuts into 2 equal parts. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at this problem on the bottom, and I'm not going to do all of it because you guys should have it from class, and if you were absent then you can get it from our notebook. Okay, I'm going to only do number 1 and number 2, and then we'll go ahead and move over to the homework that you guys had some questions on. So here we're talking about the sides, right? AB. We need to know what the length of AB is, and how we can figure this out is by looking at what we have. We have that CD is 10 centimeters. So opposite side would be over here, AB or BA, okay? This side is congruent because it's opposite, 10 centimeters. Now, if this bottom one is 14 centimeters, what's the top? 14 centimeters. Okay, it's asking us for AB, so that is 10. We're gonna say AB is equal to 10 centimeters, and the reason why is because opposite sides of a parallelogram, right, that's a symbol for parallelogram, are congruent. Okay, for number 2, we have the measure of angle A, and we're looking for the measure of angle D, which is this one over here. So they're not opposite. We know that the opposites, because we know our rules, right, from up here, the opposites are congruent. But when they are consecutive, they equal 180. So if this is 110, what do we need to do? We need to do 180 minus 110 to give us this. So 180 minus 110 gives us 70. D is 70 degrees. The reasoning, because consecutive angles are supplementary. Okay, so we'll go ahead and let this be for now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to call us on Remind. Send us a message or a picture of what you're having trouble with. Now, this was last night's homework, and you guys should have turned this in already. Okay, and today you guys went home with this one. Okay, so part of what we were telling the kids in our classes were that some of you guys are focusing on this and you guys are forgetting about this. If you guys can fill information out that's given to you, right? That's why it says given right here. You already have part of what you need. And with very little information, you can finish filling it out. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill this out. ABD is 65. You guys need to learn how to read angles. ABD, ABD. This angle right here is 65. And I have one line because if I were to draw one line somewhere else in the same color, I know that that's the exact same measure, okay? So that one's 65. Now I have CBD is 45. CBD right here, and I'm going to do two lines because it's a different measure, 45 degrees. Okay, now we're going to talk about the sides. AE, that's a line segment. AE is 5. AE. I'm going to write it right on the line, 5. And we also have BC, that's also a segment. BC is 8. BC. Okay, some of you guys are getting confused as to what numbers you're using. If you're talking about an angle, right, we have this arc here, then you're using the numbers inside. If you have a line on top, then you're actually talking about a line segment, either on the outside or in the inside, okay? So now that we know that, what other information can we fill in? So we can go ahead and fill in the fact that this other line segment is 5 because this diagonal bisected it. That's 5 and that's 5. Okay, also alternate interior angles, right? If you can see it by drawing that Z that we were talking about, then you know that this angle is 45 degrees. And this angle here is 65 degrees. It's congruent, alternate interior to this angle here. Okay. Also, if this is 8, we know opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. So this is 8. And with this information, you're able to answer these questions. Okay. So just for time's sake, because I don't know how long this thing will let me record before it kicks me out, or if it's too big to send to you guys, I'm going to do a problem that Serenity asked me to do down here. Okay, so we have many parallelograms drawn so that you can say, okay, I'm going to do A is this one. This one I'm going to work with B, C, D, E, and F. That way you only draw the information that is needed, okay? So here I'm going to do A. What I need to draw or mark on here is that the measure of the angle is BAC, 54 degrees. BAC is 54 degrees. Okay, now what is my unknown? What is it that Ms. Corrales and Ms. Ramos want me to figure out? The measure of the angle DCA. DCA. That's this one right here. Okay, that should look familiar, guys. If you guys were paying attention in class and Ms. Corrales said, can you draw a Z? Right, that's a Z. That's the inside of the Z, and this is the other part of the inside of the Z. They are congruent, so your answer would be 54. They are alternate interior angles, 54. Okay, let's do one more. I'll pick one that, I don't know if it's more challenging because I haven't completed the homework assignment, but I'll go ahead and do one that has a little bit more information, okay? So let's do D, and that one's gonna be here where I marked my diagram D, okay? So the measure of angle ABC, that's the whole angle, okay, is 73. 73 degrees. And the measure of angle DBA is 31. So that means that this little part is 31 degrees. Okay, let me do that with a different color. I don't know if you guys can see it. 31 degrees. Okay, so it's asking me for DBC. Okay, I think I got this right. I know that the whole thing is 73. One piece is 31, so how big is the other piece? That's simple, right? We're gonna take our big angle, 73, and subtract 31 because it's a piece of it that's going away. And what do we get? 42. Does that make sense? We have 42 plus 31 gives us 73, right? One piece, second piece, the whole thing. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put 42 degrees. Okay, guys, I hope this helps you. If not, send us a message. We can try to help you if you guys can take a picture or maybe express yourself via text if you can. But whatever you guys need, let us know. And if you guys want another example, just send us a picture. We can probably send it in a picture for you, okay? All right, have a nice night. Bye.